Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. We're back, and I tell you what, we're coming up for a year now since the Super League, and a year later we're starting to get that drip effect of what the Super League was all about. Bias towards big clubs. Now look, this is something that would benefit my club, Manchester United, but I'm actually opposed to it because I think that football should always try to be on a level playing field. And what this story is about today is that as part of reforms of the Champions League, the European Club Association, which includes 10 teams from the Premier League, is going to lobby UEFA to change the rules around the Champions League and allow 2 clubs to enter the tournament, even if they're not in the top 4, based on their coefficient ranking. And basically what that means is that 2 clubs that don't finish in the top 4, that are ranked in the top 15 coefficients, would still basically get into the Champions League each year. So effectively, putting it in simple terms, if that happened this season and Manchester United finished outside the top 4, so imagine it's Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal who make the top 4, and UEFA brought in this thing where 2 extra clubs can go into the Champions League because where they're ranked, I can tell you that Manchester United would be there because the top 15 at the moment are Bayern Munich, who would go through the German League, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Real Madrid, who would go through the La Liga. Then it's PSG in 6th, who would go through their league. Barcelona also in the top 4. Juventus in the top 4 currently. And then United are ranked 9th over the last 5 years. So United would be in the Champions League. Even though they finished 5th, they would be in the Champions League. And I believe Roma would be as well because they're currently ranked. After Man United, you've got Atletico Madrid, who are top 4 at the moment. Sevilla, who are top 4 at the moment anyway. Then you've got Roma, and then it's Spurs, and then it's Ajax, and then it's Arsenal. So basically what this situation would bring is an ability for 2 clubs each year who don't finish in the top 4 in England to have a good chance of going into the Champions League. Now, it's not just for England, so effectively if Real Madrid finished outside the top 4 in La Liga, they're ranked high over the last 5 years, so they would automatically go in as well. So what it's basically doing is it's protecting the status quo. It's protecting the big clubs, that if you have a bad season and finish outside the Champions League qualifications through your domestic league, we've got a couple of extra spots for you to drop in. And those couple of extra spots are based on what your ranking is in the coefficients UEFA ranking over the last 5 years. And as I said, over the last 5 years, the top 15 are this: Bayern Munich, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona, Juventus, Man United, Atletico Madrid, Sevilla, Roma, Tottenham, Ajax and Arsenal. So effectively, all the big teams. So if you don't finish in your qualifying positions in your domestic league, you basically still got a backdoor route into the Champions League. It's a farce. It's a joke. It's unfair. And actually, this is being lobbied and probably will come in. And I look at what happened a year ago with the Super League and how great fans came together and said, we're not having this. But this is just like a mini Super League thing. It's like an Aldi version. It's still there. It's still slipping it in. And this is what I always said about the Super League. The people behind the Super League, the reason it didn't come off is because they went for too much too soon and didn't realise the backlash. So what they're doing now is, it's like, let's try and slide things in gradually over the next few years. And what will happen is we will end up with the same Super League in 5 years' time, that they slip it in gradually. There is absolutely no way, even though Manchester United benefit from it, there is absolutely no way we should be going into the Champions League because we've done well over the last 5 years if we don't qualify. It's sporting merit. Like, how would I feel as a United fan right now if we're competing for 4th and Arsenal are going to get it, and I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if we don't get in. As long as we get 5th, we're all right. In fact, we'll probably be all right if we get 6th. Because ultimately, all you've got to do is be in the Europa League spot to be considered for a coefficient ranking. So you could even have a stupid position where what it basically says is, and I know it can be a bit confusing, but what it's basically saying is, and it's easier to use it for the Premier League, is that if you finish outside the top 4 and you're ranked high in the coefficient ranking, so United are ranked 9th, so we're going to be better than anybody else, we're better than Spurs, we're going to be better than Everton or Wolves or any other Premier League side, we could finish 6th, Everton could finish 5th, Everton wouldn't go in the Champions League because they're not ranked very high in the coefficient ranking, and we would. So imagine this season, Spurs finish 5th, we finish 6th, and this new rules come into place. We would go in the Champions League as one of the 2 coefficient ranked sides because we are in a Europa League spot and we're ranked high. How can that? How would that make it interesting for me as a United fan if we're approaching the last month of the season like we are now, and I know as long as we finish in the top 6, we're going to be in the Champions League anyway because of our ranking on the coefficient ranking over the last 5 years. It's got no sporting merit because the players would be like, wow, I know we've got Arsenal in middle of April, but actually life doesn't depend on it. We're still going to be in the Champions League anyway. It's just a way of making the big clubs feel safe, and it will still work in other leagues as well. Like I said, if Juventus have a bad season, they're ranked high in the coefficient rankings. If Atletico Madrid have a bad season outside their top 4, they will qualify. It protects the big clubs. But what does it do for the Leicesters? What does it do for the Newcastles? What does it do for the Wolves? And if you have a good season and you finish 5th, you're still not going to be in the Champions League, but the team that finishes below you, United, will be. It's pull the ladder up, Jack, and sod the rest. And this was the core issue with the Super League, that ultimately it was about making the big clubs get big and destroying sporting merit. This is not right. This is not fair. This is not right. You should not be giving 2 spots qualifying into the Champions League to teams that fail but have done well over the last 5 years. That shouldn't happen. If you miss out on the top 4, and ultimately, who does it benefit? Does it benefit the fans? Well, I suppose it does a little bit, but you know who it really benefits? The presidents. The owners. This benefits the Glazers. If we finish 5th, we're still going to be in the Champions League. We're fine. It's a backdoor route, and it's not right. I don't like it. I absolutely hate it. I think it's completely unfair. I think it will make the Premier League less attractive because you can basically finish 5th or 6th. If you're Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, United, and Chelsea, you can finish 5th or 6th one season and you'll still know you're in the Champions League. That takes away the integrity of the Premier League. But ultimately, like absolutely everything, it comes down to money as per usual. That really, it's just about making sure and protecting the big clubs so that if they have a bad season, they don't lose loads of money. And ultimately, that's what competition's all about. It's about sporting integrity. I'm not bothered about the bank balance of bloody Joel Glazer. I'm bothered about sporting integrity. And if United are having a season like this and we're approaching the last 6 weeks of the season and I'm going, there's a very big chance we're not going to get top 4, that's because we've not been very good this year and we don't deserve top 4 and we don't deserve to be in the Champions League. And if we do get top 4, it means the next 6 weeks is going to be really exciting. Maybe Arsenal bottle it, we go on a good run and we grab 4th place because we deserve it. That's sporting integrity. Sporting integrity is not me sitting here going, well, they brought this new rule in that 2 teams can get in through the back door and we're ranked really high in the coefficient, so we'll be in the Champions League next year as long as we finish in the top 6. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. And that's I would hope that Liverpool fans feel the same, Chelsea fans feel the same. Obviously, there will be fans out there going, I love this rule. I love this rule. I love it. So basically, we can finish 5th and we'll still get in the Champions League. I love it. Yeah, it's great because it's selfish. But ultimately, you won't be thinking it's great when you are the team who's in 5th and you want your team to finish the season well to try and get 4th and they're on easy street thinking, we don't need to. We need to finish 5th. It will basically make the Premier League not the top 4. It will make the Premier League the top 5 because all of our traditional top 6, Arsenal, Spurs, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, all 6 of those clubs are in the top 15 UEFA coefficients over the last 5 years. So there's a very good chance that if you finish 5th or 6th, you would get into the Champions League anyway. It's farcical. You could even have a situation if we had it this season whereby Bayern Munich, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Sevilla, Roma, Ajax, as long as they all qualify in their domestic league, United and Spurs could finish 5th and 6th and qualify for the Champions League. So the top 6 in the Premier League could qualify for the Champions League under these new rulings. It's an absolute farce. It's a farce. I don't know why they're doing it other than greed. I don't know why UEFA are allowing it. But let's not forget, the bad guys in this again are the Premier League clubs and the other clubs who are lobbying UEFA to do this. It's basically bully boy tactics from the big clubs in Europe protecting their status and not really caring about sporting integrity in the Premier League or fairness to other teams. It's basically, we need to protect ourselves. And why do they need to protect themselves? Because it's money. Ultimately, it's the same thing as the Super League. It's rich people who own our football clubs wanting to be richer and shitting on football in general and all the other clubs because they think they're better. I don't agree with it. It doesn't benefit. It's not about sporting integrity. But I'll put it over to you. What are your thoughts on this Monday morning? I think it's abhorrent. I think it's sickening. And I'm a United fan, and it would benefit my club. But I don't want us to be in the Champions League if we finish 5th or 6th because we're in the top 15 UEFA coefficients over the last 5 years. I don't want that. It's not right. And the scary thing as well, don't forget, you're never going to... People might say, yeah, but in a couple of years, United won't have done that well anyway, so they'll drop out the coefficients. Well, we won't do, because you'll never drop out the 15. If you're always in the Champions League, you're going to stay in there, aren't you? You're closing off the door to any new teams getting in, because the only way they can get in is by qualifying in the top 4. But United or Arsenal could get in there because they finish 5th or 6th. And as long as they keep qualifying, they're always going to be in the top 15, aren't they? It's a farce. The rich get richer and the smaller clubs get distanced away. I can't believe it's coming in. It sounds like it's going to come in. And it's just Super League Light, isn't it? It's the light version. They're just slipping things in here and there and everywhere. And they'll get back slowly to where they wanted to go last year. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Give us your comments below. Make sure you subscribe. I'll speak to you in a bit.